Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Dr. Bobby Huynh, and let's queer up entertainment. Mid-century modern stars talk good gay roommates, patience and wet naps. Living with roommates can be a unique experience full of ups and downs. But what if those roommates are gay? Hulu's new series, Mid-Century Modern, explores this dynamic, showing the lives of a chosen family cohabitating in Palm Springs. Ryan Murphy's new comedy is groundbreaking because it sets up a traditional situation comedy but focuses on unique gay issues. At the show's Los Angeles premiere, Out Magazine spoke with the cast to gather insights and advice on navigating life with gay roommates. Nathan Lee Graham, who plays Arthur Broussard, shared a practical piece of advice on having a group of gay roommates, saying, you need, quote, patience, also wet wipes, end quote. Matt Bomer, portraying Jerry Frank, highlighted the perks of sharing space with gay roommates. He said, quote, lucky you because your apartment is about to look fantastic. It's going to be organized but screened so you don't get a mess. You'll have culture, class, and sophistication. The decor will be on fleek. Cocktail parties and after parties. Also, a shoulder to cry on because we are willing to listen and not just only spill the tea, end quote. Nathan Lane, who plays Bunny Schneiderman, said, quote, you want to make sure everyone has their own space so they can go off and have time for themselves, end quote. Reviews and audience reaction has been extremely good and people are loving the show already. Go ahead and catch Mid-Century Modern, streaming now on Hulu, where laughter, love, and life lessons fill every room. Okay, I don't know what Matt Bomer is smoking, but not all of us are fabulous. Not all of us are fabulous interior designers who basically have an art gallery as a home and mid-century modern furniture everywhere. Do you know how much Eames lounge chair costs? $3,000 at Design Within Reach. Anyways, so but the other two have given some good advice. Nathan Lane's especially. Roommate situation is about cohabitating, and when cohabitating is important, each of you have your own separate space that you don't bother each other. And when it comes to hygiene, Nathan Lee Graham has the point.
I mean, look, I have a job for a reason. I am an interior designer, and I can attest that not every gay man or queer person out there has the bug to design appropriately. They have bad lighting, the whole nine. But I will agree that, cohabitation, whether it be roommate, spouse, or anything, is difficult. You both come into a situation with your own personal tastes, your own personal style, your own personal sense of space. And especially with roommates, if you're not sharing a room together, you have joint spaces you need to navigate. And you need to set those boundaries and go, I can do this, I can't do that, and have an adult conversation with them. And being gay has a whole nother set of rules, Again, we're going to bring up Grindr and all those things, who's putting the sock on what door handle and who's allowed to be in my space, It's...
As a professional mediator, I also want to add that in order to resolve most conflict among roommates, compromise is the key. And don't insist, unless you really set on it, don't draw red lines around anything,
I find one of the best ways to deal with when having roommates is to try agree to do things better together. And I mean that by the best roommates I've had is when we pay a housekeeper. We just split the money and pay out. It makes things much better. It's so nice to see news about what the show is, Mid-Century Modern. It hasn't been talked about enough in news lately. I'm really glad that we're doing it.
A housekeeper is the best thing for anything. A happy marriage, happy friendship, happy roommates. Trust me, cleaning up toilets after people. Or I had roommates once in my life, and they were not with gay men, they were with females. And when I tell you they were dirtier than anybody, I would come home and my dishes that I, put into the kitchen were all over the place. Coffee cups filled half. So, I mean, it is really roommates are a problem. So it's a matter of having conversation. I probably didn't have those conversations. I needed a mediator. I actually took all the dirty dishes and put it in the middle of the roommate's bed. Probably not the best thing to do, but I told her if she can't clean up her mess, then it needs to stay to her room.
That's like the cat that leaves you a little gift.
Leaving a warning like that actually is very useful. At least it highlighted the issue that you want to address.
She wasn't around much longer.
I did something similar with a roommate, and we had a dishwasher. So I was like, "What? I know."
You can't stick it in that. Oh my God! I've never lived with roommates just to like share expenses or whatever, like where you didn't already have some sort of relationship. So every time I've cohabitated, it's been a family sort of situation, and that's always been fabulous. And they've almost always been queer. Certainly, there's been a couple of times like gay-friendly straight people, like theater people or whatever, but mostly it's been lesbians or gay men or trans people. And so you already knew them, and then you just became closer living together. So that's what I love about this show, the Mid-Century Modern, which is named for the furniture style. I love that, the little double. But that you do when you're depending on each other, you cook for each other, you travel together. It's about chosen family, which is very different than a financial arrangement. Right. But when it is like a chosen family, I mean, my ex-wife was my roommate's ex-lover, and then we became roommates, and then we got married because we wanted kids, and then she fell in love with some other woman and moved off to Martha's Vineyard. But anyway, we eventually got divorced. But it was just that sort of camaraderie, that sort of bonding, that sort of caring for each other. It really is queer family. And so yeah, if it's just like, okay, I need someone to help me with the rent, well, that's strict boundaries. But if it's, this is our family, and we want to be closer together, which is the storyline of the show, that is a different dynamic, and it can be really fabulous.
Well, and they know each other, so they can get away with a lot of things that you can't normally get away with a roommate.
Exactly.
That is, from Craigslist, right?
Right.
So I think that's interesting to see, how some of them relate to each other when something happens, or they go, oh, I need to hold my tongue, and the other one goes, oh, no, you don't. Mm-hmm. So, it's always, again, interesting when you have roommates, and especially if you know them, mm-hmm. How to mitigate those dynamics. Because if they do something that pisses you off, you're like, okay, well, you're my roommate, and we have to deal with that situation, not the friendship situation. Right. Like, there's like two different scenarios there, and sometimes it can be really tricky.
The thing about the Mid-Century Modern is that's more realistic is that they were already friends, and then they come together to form a family. The Golden Girl situation, that really was like they met from the supermarket, just ad on the corkboard or whatever. That was a gamble that happened to pay off, because when you're writing the story, you can make it turn out any way you want to. But in the Mid-Century Modern, they are already friends, and they just deepen their commitment. And so that I do think that makes a difference. Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing